listeners. You're listening to Vibrant Living with Vayu Yoga. I'm Shannon Levy-heath, and I'm with my good friend and colleague, Wendy Hassenpflug, today on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Today we're talking about vision for the year and for your life.
Love it. Just love it. This is so much fun. Hope you're having as much fun as we are, because in the studio, we're doing a vision dance. You can dance if you want to. Okay, we should stop doing that. I am not a singer. I'm a dancer, as are you, but you can probably sing. Okay, back on track. Let's look at your optimal health. So we talked about your vision for your life and how to create that in the last segment, right? How does health fit into that vision? Because if you're not looking at what it means to be at optimal health, then as a part of your vision, then who knows if you're going to really be able to make that vision happen, because your health is a huge part of that, truly. What does it look like? What does your optimal health look like? I like to think of it this way. I like to think of it, this is the way that I was taught, as a wheel, okay? And let's say that it's a wheel that has anywhere from 6 to 8 spokes on it. And at the end of each spoke, I'm going to put an area of my life that's most important to me. Okay, so I actually did this work with my kinesiology students last semester. Made them make their wheels of life. Here's what, so you could do, let's say one of the spokes is mental, one is physical, one is emotional, one is financial, one is spiritual. Okay. If that's a little too vague for you and not inspiring to start to work on, then maybe looking at fitness, relationships, self-growth, career, spiritual. Yeah. So those are some examples, but it's whatever's most important in your life, and not just your life as you're living now. Because if you're doing some vision work and you're wanting to change, you're not living your ideal life right now, then you don't want to look at your life right now as those spokes. You want to look at your optimal life, where you really want to be working towards as what you're going to work on. And here's the thing, when you look at that, and then you look at how much time you're spending in each of those areas, if you look at a given day, any given day, chances are 1 or 2 of those areas are getting a lot of your attention. But chances are on the other side, 1 or 2 of those areas are getting very little of your attention. Okay. And normally, you're going to have to put more time into some of those areas, whether it's career. Most of us are working a 9-to-5 job, or is that even something that we do anymore? It's usually even more than that for most people. Thank goodness, not for me, not for you. But is your career your main focus? And is your career helping you towards your life goals and your vision and your, the stuff that you're working on right now? Because if it's not, well, maybe there's a change that needs to happen there, right? Maybe your focus needs to be put more on your self-growth and your spiritualness than your career, to be able to figure out what's the next step I take. You really want to balance it. You might not balance it all out completely. That might be kind of difficult to do at first, but at least it gives you an idea of, wow, I'm putting that much focus in this and that little focus in that. Okay.
And that shift in perception may be enough to propel you toward that. Right,
exactly. And that's the point. It gives you an idea of where you're starting and where you want to go to. And exactly, it gives you, a little swift kick in the derriere to make some change, right? So here's another quote. It's quote time, quote alert. This is a quote by Rosabeth Moss-Cantor. And the quote states, "A vision is not just a picture of what could be. It's an appeal to our better selves and a call to become something more." Wow.
That's poignant.
Right? A picture of what could be, appeal to our better selves, and a call to become something more. That just ties into everything we're talking about today. Statistics actually show that most people set goals and visions that are small. Here's why. Because they're safe. They don't have to change much to accomplish them. They don't have to work too hard or take too much time. How much time is that going to take me to do that? They don't have to step too far outside their comfort zones, or maybe they don't even have to step outside their comfort zone to accomplish that small vision and that small goal. So then they feel good. And not to say that a small goal is not a success. Every success is a success. However, a vision needs to be big.
Bigger.
Yeah. And what we've learned is that it's only when you allow yourself to step just a little bit outside that comfort zone that the magic really happens.
And we're going to talk about dream builders in a little bit, but one of the things that Mary Morrissey says is, if you're not a little bit frightened, or we'll use that word exhilarated again, by your dream, then you're not dreaming big enough.
Yeah. That sounds like Lou Holtz. I just
Yeah.
used that yesterday, too.
You sure did.
And another quote by Helen Keller, it's a terrible thing to see yet have no vision, right? We those of us that are seeing people, that we can see everything around us, but we don't have vision is, wow. I remember when I first read that, I was in probably middle school, and I put the two literally together, seeing and vision. Vision meaning that I could see. I didn't think about imagination and having an imaginative vision and putting something out there to work towards. I just saw it literally. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense, Helen. I mean, I'm like, I understand not seeing, but not having, and I think I had to just mature a little bit to really figure out. But
Yeah, there are different kinds of vision, as we were talking about earlier.
Right, exactly. So you can really go through your days on autopilot, meaning that you're just existing. You're just doing enough to not get fired from your job, and your employers are giving you just enough money so that you don't leave them. Okay, just existing through the day, doing just enough. But how do you begin to make that shift from simply existing to truly living your life? Well, I'm going to let Shannon share some of her dream builder steps on what she is starting to do on how to make that shift to truly live her life.
I have done twice the Dream Builders program. It was created by a lovely woman named Mary Morrissey, and I was introduced to it by my cardiologist, Dr. Cynthia Thike, and last year I did the program with a life coach named Catherine Ford, and this year, end of last year, with Dr. Thike. And before you even begin, you do what's called charting your course, which is a means of identifying your purpose and your vision. So having purpose means giving direction and meaning to your life. It's a sort of a true north to your inner compass, and it guides us through our life decisions. So if you, again, have a piece of paper and a pencil or a pen, begin by making purpose statements, and they can be simple, but find a peaceful environment somewhere where you can really connect with yourself. And begin by saying, my purpose is, and then write down as many things as you can. Now, I don't know if you're my vintage, but I'm familiar with the phrase stream of consciousness. That means don't really think about it, just let it happen, let it flow. Don't worry about what it is you're writing, okay? From there, we go into vision. That's the second step.
Can I back up for one
Yes.
sec, though? What she means by that, in my opinion, is that we think so often that when we're writing stuff out, it has to be perfect right off the bat. There's a perfect answer.
Yes.
And I got to come up with that right now. And then we get this block of what we're supposed to write, and we stall and we don't write anything, or we write it and we scratch it out, or whatever it might be.
And it causes us to procrastinate. And one of the things that Dream Builder says is sometimes good enough is good enough. So don't second guess yourself. Don't overthink. Just go for it.
You have to start with that step.
It can be simple. My purpose is to be a beneficial presence, to bring my unique talents and gifts forward. Okay? So whatever, don't overthink.
Those are examples of some of the things that you did.
Purpose statements.
Okay,
Yeah?
good.
So vision, we move into the second part. Your vision needs to be larger, clearer, and grander than whatever your current status or circumstance is now.
Yep.
It's harmonious with you and your values, and if it is, it'll be drawn to you, okay? So the larger and clearer, the better, and the more easily it impresses upon your mind, both conscious and subconscious.
Isn't this cool how the same things that
Everything
I
is-
have learned, you have learned in a different way from a different person, but it's the same concepts.
And it is. This is what excites me about this, is there's a connectedness between all of this.
Yeah.
And so to be...
So many resources out there, you guys.
It's
There's
just
it's
very
amazing.
exciting. So
is there another step?
what I'm going to say is be specific, imagine it in the present, involve all 5 of your senses, and the 4 key areas of life to approach are health, relationships, career or creative expression, and then time or money, which is where you get to do all those fun things and take your trips to France like I want to do once a year.
There we go.
So
yeah.
that's a good start. It's a good way to start.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your
bet.
experience. Yeah, I've been able to witness you going through the Dream Builders, and it's nice to hear some of the outcomes from it for sure. And that they tie in to the things that I'm
Absolutely.
doing as well, and that, that I'm sharing with you guys. And it's, wow. It's so
It's
amazing.
like parallel paths.
Right, right. So here's the thing. Your vision will become clear only when you look into your heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens. I don't know who wrote that because I couldn't find the author, but it's so true. When you look outside, you dream, and that's okay to dream, definitely. However, when you look inside, you're going to awaken the dream or the thought or the belief or your life in general. Just something to think about
a
for
beautiful
sure.
quote.
Isn't that nice? Nice. So we're going to bring this particular segment to a close, but I do want to announce something very exciting that I'm working on. I'm going to be leading a transformational series called Embrace Abundance at my yoga studio, and I am just working out the details now. But just so you know what's going to happen here, participants are going to discover their why. They're going to develop meaningful goals, create better self-awareness, incorporate lifestyle changes like eating healthy, yoga, cardiovascular activities, meditation, personal development, the whole shebang. It's the whole thing, guys.
That's fabulous.
Yes. So if you're interested in being on the list to hear more about this event that I'm working on, that's going to be coming up pretty soon, contact me at vayuyogascv@gmail.com or via my website at vayuyoga.com. And I'll send you more information about this wonderful transformational series called Embrace Abundance. When we come back, more about vision as we wrap up this month's show for us. I'm Wendy Hassenpflug, and you're listening to Vibrant Living with Vayu Yoga on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.
Welcome back to our first show of the new year. You're listening to Vibrant Living with Vayu Yoga. I'm Shannon Levy-heath, and I'm with my good pal Wendy Hassenpflug on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. And today, once again, we are talking about vision.
Yeah, loving it. So this is our last segment. I'm going to get in as much as I can because I have so much on my list that I want to go through.
I know,
but
I could just go on for days
we'll just,
on this.
We'll just do another hour. We'll just pull an Arif Halaby and do 2 hours back to back. Okay, no, then Arif will be unhappy because he's next. So one of the main skills that we develop in a yoga practice is how to look inside ourselves. And we've talked about this a little bit already in the show. And the other thing is when you look inside yourself, you're awakening aspects of your life that have either been numbed or neglected or put off to the side or whatever it might be. Yoga should take you outside your comfort zone every so often, at least once during your practice. And my mentor, Ganga White, actually called this surfing your edges. The other aspect of doing something somewhat scary is that it in of itself, we talked about earlier, awakens you in that moment and really creates a present state of being. So let me give you an example of that. Let's say that we are doing, a supported shoulder stand, okay? Some people are quite uncomfortable bringing their bum above their head. And if it's something they haven't done before, then it can be emotionally, physically, and mentally uncomfortable, right? So in doing shoulder stand, and not just going into regular shoulder stand on your mat, but I said supported shoulder stand, where you have support to do it. We're using the wall, we're using props, whatever it might be, a block or the wall, okay? It's taking you just a little bit outside of your comfort zone to get support enough and confidence enough to feel good in the pose, to do it correctly, and then start to work towards the pose a little bit more and a little bit more until you get to your edge of flexibility, your edge of stamina, your edge of strength. And when you get to that edge and you know you're there, you back off a little bit and you stay at about 90% of your capacity or your potential of that edge. And you stay, not going up to it again, not pushing yourself over the edge, because the other side of that edge is injury normally, okay? But
Right.
being aware of where it's at. If you don't push yourself a little bit and find that edge, you don't know where that edge is. And some of us just keep working and working and working towards the edge because we're not getting close enough to it, and that's okay too. But that's what this is based on, is really stepping outside that comfort zone on a regular basis. And if you're not doing that in your regular yoga practice, then I invite you to bring that into your practice this year. And here, speaking of yoga, is a wonderful quote by Mahatma Gandhi. And so many of my mentors through my yoga trainings myself have said this over and over at the end of practices. And I think it's very fitting. So here's the quote. Your beliefs become your thoughts. Your thoughts become your words. Your words become your actions. Your actions become your habits. And I know some of my yoga people are out there saying it along with me because they know it. Your habits become your values, and your values become your destiny.
Brilliant.
Mahatma Gandhi. The basis of that is that positive thinking, changing our words, changing our thoughts, rewiring our brains, changing our beliefs is going to change our life for us.
And truly, there are words that have a higher vibrational frequency. Those are the more positive words. The self-denigrating comments one makes, I would guess, almost every day, those need to be canceled out immediately and replaced with life-affirming positive thinking.
That was wonderfully said in your NLP training that you and I did
Yes.
together. I'm very proud of you. It's very true. And just because you've always done something a certain way, or your family's always done a certain way, or you think that this is the way you're supposed to do it because you've always done it this way, doesn't mean you have to continue to do it that same way. Brain research actually shows that you can change your beliefs. Your brain can actually be rewired, and it's actually called neuroplasticity. I'm going to say that again because it's a long word with lots of syllables. And I know I said that wrong. Syllables is what I was saying. Neuroplasticity. So look it up, Google it. It's pretty amazing. But you really can rewire your beliefs and your thoughts and change the pathway of thinking. I watched it. It's amazing.
It's an amazing concept.
And I've done it. I've been doing it since August of last year. In order to change, though, you must learn to accept, right? Accept where you are, accept what you're thinking, accept right away, but then quickly release. Accept and release. And when you release those fears and those stories in your head, because that's all they really are, is just stories that you're replaying in your head, you're going to be able to work towards what you want.
You also need to be willing to be vulnerable. A lot of people don't want to go there because it's a frightening place to be. But it's in those very moments that we learn the most about ourselves and we allow ourselves to grow.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. The more you learn to control your mind, you can release stress from your body. And this is a skill that's enhanced in a yoga practice. A lot of people come into yoga to work on their flexibility, to become more flexible so that they're not as tight, so that they can work away from pain, whatever that might be. And here's the thing, that tightness in your body, that pain in your body is there for a reason. And it's happened through your thoughts, your emotions, your spiritualism or lack of that, your personal development or lack of that, your movement or lack of movement, your fitness level, your life experiences. Everything you've done so far has, once we said, remember that your cells are changing on a daily basis. So your body can be rewired. It can change. So when you start with your mind, which for some of us, that's actually easier. You can do that without having to be on a yoga mat. Start with your mindset, right? Then you can release stress from your body through the mind and then start to work on the physical side of it as well. And yoga is not just about being on a yoga mat. Yoga is taken off the mat as well. I always tell my students at the end of their practice to remind themselves of their intention that they set for the beginning of their practice with no judgment or opinion. And I tell them to visualize taking that intention off of their mat and into their life to enhance their life throughout that day in a positive way. And I say that from the bottom of my heart because it really works, and I really mean, and I really wish that upon my students. And if you think in your head, oh, that's great, Wendy, now I'm done, I'm going to go on to my day and blah, 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 and I'll come back and get my fix, then that's also going to be what's happening for you too. What you think is what's going to start to happen for you.
Mary Morrissey says everything is created twice, first in thought, then in form. So if that's the way you're thinking, if you're thinking negatively, that's what you're going to take off your mat. If you're thinking positively, that's what you're going to take into your life.
Yeah, I started, and I've talked about this on prior shows, but I've started over the last few months the first thing I do when I get up in the morning is think about the things that I'm grateful for in my life. And it's usually in the shower, or if I'm in a hurry to get up that morning, or I overslept, which doesn't happen much anymore, or I actually spend the first half hour to the first hour each day doing what I call me time. And I start that with gratitude, saying what I'm grateful for my day. And I try to, by the end of the day, when my head goes on the pillow, I try to, at that point, remind myself of the things that I was grateful for that day and say them again as I'm going to sleep. Those last thoughts before you go to sleep are so vital for deep sleep and for good dreams.
Yes.
And for starting your next day in a positive way. Excuse me. I need to get some water. Shannon, take over for a sec.
Wendy is going to be leading a transformational series entitled Embrace Abundance at her yoga studio, Vayu Yoga, on Main Street in Newhall. You want to come back in
Yes,
now?
I would love to talk a little bit about this, because this is the first time I've actually announced this. I've talked a little bit about it to my students yesterday, but I'm putting it out there so that people are aware of it. So if you want to be aware of this, it is going to fill up, because the people I've talked to about it are like, put me on the list. So I'm calling this transformational series Embrace Abundance. And people that participate in this series are going to discover their why. Why do you want this life that you're working towards? Why do what do you want to work towards? You're, developing a really good, strong why, developing meaningful goals that are achievable, but also challenging enough, creating a better self-awareness, and incorporating lifestyle changes. So I've always taught in this way, but this is going to be, everything. We're going to do nutrition and yoga and meditation and personal development and cardiovascular activities. It's the whole shebang. So if you're interested, contact me at vayuyogascv@gmail.com. or visit my website at vayuyoga.com. Ask me about Embrace Abundance, and I'll put you on the list to send you information about it. We are starting our winter schedule on Monday, January 26th, with some new classes and workshops and series at the studio, which is located at 8th and Main Street in Old Town Newhall. All right, that's pretty much our show for today. Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back the second Tuesday of February. You've been listening to Vibrant Living with Vayu Yoga, where we share tools for learning how to truly live your life fully and completely. I'm Wendy Hassenpflug.
And I'm Shannon Levy-heath.
We're signing out for the day. This is your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.